Classical music and improvisation, aren't they complete opposites? Classical music is guys in waiter outfits, playing music written by dead white males for blue-haired ladies and their sleeping husbands. Improvisation, on the other hand, is free expression, unfettered, right from the heart. Au contraire. Improvisation is a skill and a discipline that requires background, practice, and insight. Classical music is a vast tradition with extraordinary depth. Some behaviors that may come across as stuffy are just people trying to listen. In fact, classical music and improvisation, including music from folk traditions, have a long relationship. This relationship has been on the rocks recently, but they are getting back together. Classical music has been in trouble for the last 40 years. I mean, when was the last time NPR interviewed a living composer? I believe that a revival of improvisation and a healthy relationship with other music traditions offers hope for bringing classical music back into the mainstream. Classical music is a musical language that includes writing, but classical musicians have always improvised and have always reached out and learned from other musical traditions. As far back as the Middle Ages, people were writing masses incorporating folk melodies. We have no recordings of Bach, Mozart, or Beethoven improvising. Can you imagine? But there are many anecdotes of their improvisational prowess. The 17th century composer Arcangelo Corelli was known as a great improviser. If I play his work as written, it sounds like this. But to play it properly, I have to improvise because I know that is what he would have done. But nobody knows what he did, so I have to do it my way, resulting in this wonderful dialogue between the past and the present moment. Sadly, for roughly the past half-century, many classical musicians have restricted themselves to written music. This is such an artificial condition. Can you imagine a language that is only written and not spoken? Fortunately, this is changing. The classical world is returning to improvisation and engagement with other traditions. The early music people were the vanguard, starting in the 1960s, playing re-antiqued instruments and revitalizing the traditions of embellishment as described in historic texts. In my own practice, I make a point of collaborating and jamming with musicians from a range of traditions. I'll play with anyone. Jazz improved my ear for harmony. Irish music gave me insight into ornamentation and the dance-like use of the bow. I study improvisation assiduously. More on this in the full talk. Improvisation, like speaking, requires a grammar, a vocabulary, something to say, and someone to discuss it with. Improvisation, like speech, comes into its own as dialogue. Unfortunately, an enormous impediment to musical dialogue has grown like kudzu, extreme and ubiquitous amplification. This creates a wall between classical musicians and nearly everyone else. We classical musicians are an odd lot. We care about our ears, we are trained to listen and respond to the slightest nuances. How can you have a dialogue at 110 decibels? This is tragic because it isolates classical musicians into a cultural ghetto and radically impedes what could be the continuation of a fruitful dialogue that has been going on for centuries. So, please turn down the volume and listen. Can we all really learn to listen? Can we take the risk of being listened to in the moment? I'm going to take that risk right now.